The Mafia is an organization that most people think doesn't exist anymore. However, they are still around and are more powerful than ever. There are some things about them that the government does not want you to know.
Ow.
Here are 7 Mafia secrets the government doesn't want you to know. Number 7. The Italian-American Mafia exists. Most Americans believe that organized crime has been wiped out from society, but this couldn't be further from the truth. There are several groups of the Italian-American Mafia who reside in the United States, and they have made it clear that they are not going anywhere. Despite being hunted by the FBI for decades, the Mafia remains one of the biggest criminal organizations in the world. In recent years, the FBI has been trying to crack down on the Italian-American Mafia, but no matter how many members they arrest, there will always seem to be another group of mobsters ready to take their place. Many people are surprised to learn that the Italian-American Mafia is still around. After all, it's not like you see mobsters running around on the streets these days. However, don't let appearances fool you. The Italian-American Mafia is more secretive than ever before. They understand that if they want to continue their criminal activities, they need to lay low. This means that it can be difficult to find information about the Italian-American Mafia. Even so, the FBI has been able to uncover some of their activities. According to the FBI, the Italian-American Mafia is involved in a wide range of criminal activity, including racketeering, extortion, gambling, and drug trafficking. In addition, the FBI believes that the Italian-American Mafia is still closely linked to the Russian Mafia. This alliance has allowed the two groups to expand their criminal enterprises into new areas. As you can see, the Italian-American Mafia is still very much a threat. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, these dangerous criminals will continue to operate in the shadows. 6. The Russian Mafia exists. The Russian Mafia is a criminal organization that has been active in Russia and Eastern Europe since the early 1990s. Much like the Italian-American Mafia, the Russian Mafia is involved in a variety of criminal activities. These activities include extortion, kidnapping, human trafficking, and drug trafficking. In addition, the Russian Mafia is also involved in a lot of white-collar crimes, such as money laundering and tax evasion. The Russian Mafia is believed to be one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. They have a strong presence in many countries, and they are constantly expanding their reach. One of the reasons for the success of the Russian Mafia is their willingness to use violence. They are not afraid to use force to get what they want, and this has allowed them to intimidate their victims into complying with their demands. Another reason for the power of the Russian Mafia is their ability to corrupt officials. They have a long history of bribing and blackmailing government officials, and this has allowed them to operate with relative impunity. For years, the Russian Mafia was able to avoid the attention of law enforcement. However, in recent years, things have started to change. There have been a number of high-profile cases against members of the Russian Mafia. In addition, there has been a lot of cooperation between law enforcement agencies in different countries. As a result of these efforts, the Russian Mafia has been weakened somewhat. However, they are still a dangerous criminal organization and should not be underestimated. 5. They control Hollywood. It might sound like a crazy conspiracy theory, but there are plenty of rumors that the Mafia has a strong hold over the movie industry. Some believe that mobsters even run Hollywood behind the scenes. This may have some truth to it when you look at some of the most powerful people in Hollywood. For starters, take a look at the godfathers of modern movies, the Coen brothers. These famous filmmakers grew up in a town with a large Italian population, and one of their most popular films is titled Fargo. Coincidentally, the name Fargo is a reference to the Mafia, as it's a slang term for stolen goods. Then we have actor Joe Pesci, who played Tommy DeVito in Goodfellas. Joe is well known for his association with the Mafia and his portrayal of mobsters in various films. But did you know he actually served time in prison for assault? That's right. He beat up a writer named Cliff Schechter. After he found out that the writer had made up quotes and stories that were supposedly from the Mafia. And let's not forget about director Martin Scorsese, who seems to have an obsession with making Mafia-themed movies. His most famous films include Mean Streets, Goodfellas, Casino, and The Departed. He's been fascinated with mobster culture since he was just a child, and he has produced some of the best movies ever made about the Mafia. While there's no concrete evidence that the Mafia controls Hollywood, There are certainly a lot of connections between the two. 4. The Chinese triads are gaining power. The Chinese triads are a criminal organization that has been active in China and other parts of Asia for centuries, similar to the Italian-American Mafia and the Russian Mafia. The Chinese triads are involved in a wide range of criminal activities, including gambling, drug trafficking, and human trafficking. In recent years, the Chinese triads have been on the rise. They have taken advantage of the growing demand for illegal goods and services in Asia and beyond. As a result, the Chinese triads are now one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. The Chinese triads are especially dangerous because they are willing to use extreme violence. They are also highly organized and disciplined, which makes them even more effective. The Chinese triads are a major problem for law enforcement. They are extremely difficult to infiltrate and take down. In addition, the Chinese triads are often able to bribe or intimidate government officials, which allows them to operate with impunity. Despite the threat posed by the Chinese triads, law enforcement has made some progress against them. In recent years, there have been a number of high-profile arrests and convictions of members of the Chinese triads. However, the Chinese triads are still a major threat, and law enforcement is constantly working to stay one step ahead of them. 3. The Japanese Yakuza are growing. The Japanese Yakuza is a criminal organization that has been active in Japan for centuries. Like the other criminal organizations already mentioned, the Japanese Yakuza is involved in a variety of criminal activities, including gambling, drug trafficking, and extortion. The Japanese Yakuza is especially dangerous because its members are extremely violent. They're also highly disciplined and organized, which makes them even more effective. The Japanese Yakuza has been growing in power in recent years. This growth can be attributed to a variety of factors, including the growing demand for illegal goods and services in Japan and the weakness of law enforcement. As a result of this growth, the Japanese Yakuza is now one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. The Japanese Yakuza is a major problem for law enforcement. They are extremely difficult to infiltrate and take down. In addition, the Japanese Yakuza is often able to bribe or intimidate government officials, which allows them to operate with impunity. Despite the threat posed by the Japanese Yakuza, law enforcement has made some progress against them. In recent years, there have been a number of high-profile arrests and convictions of members of the Japanese Yakuza. However, the Japanese Yakuza is still a major threat, and law enforcement is constantly working to stay one step ahead of them. 2. They own the banks. If you're like most people, you probably think that banks are safe places where you can store your money. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. In fact, there are a number of banks that are owned by the Mafia. These banks are used to launder money and fund criminal activity. If you want to learn more about this, be sure to watch our video on the 5 scariest Mafia banks in the world. One way the Mafia is able to get away with this is by bribing politicians. They have a lot of money and are willing to spend it on things like getting laws changed or influencing elections. As a result, there are a number of politicians who are in the pockets of the Mafia. This makes it difficult to fight back against the Mafia because those in power are often not willing to take on the mob. So if you think the government is going to swoop in and save the day, don't hold your breath. The Mafia is too powerful and has too much influence to be taken down easily. Number 1. The American Mafia Commission still exists. The American Mafia Commission is a group of high-ranking Mafia members who meet together to discuss important matters related to organized crime. It is believed that the Commission is made up of members from the 5 American Mafia families. The Commission is responsible for making decisions that affect the entire American Mafia. For example, the Commission is responsible for deciding how the different Mafia families will interact with each other. They also decide how the Mafia will interact with law enforcement and government officials. It is believed that the Commission meets regularly, although the exact location and timing of the meetings is unknown. The meetings are typically attended by a small number of people, but important decisions that affect the entire American Mafia are made during these meetings. The American Mafia Commission is a secret organization and not much is known about its activities. However, it is believed that the Commission is still in existence today and plays an important role in the inner workings of the American Mafia. If you want to know more about the American Mafia, be sure to check out our other videos on the topic. We have a lot of great content that will teach you everything you need to know about this fascinating subject. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.